Every night, while your body rests in silence, your mind writes entire stories. You drift into places that don't exist, meet people you've never known, and feel emotions stronger than the waking day can often summon. Then morning comes and much of it dissolves like mist. Dreams are both the most familiar and the most mysterious part of our life, happening to everyone, every night, yet still resisting a simple explanation. It is strange to think about. Every human who has ever lived, from ancient hunters to kings, scientists and poets, has spent part of their life inside dreams. Even now, as you listen, billions of people across the planet are dreaming in this same moment. Some wander through strange adventures, others revisit memories, and some fall into recurring patterns they may never fully understand. Dreams are not rare. They are as universal as breathing. And yet we still ask, what are they? Why do they happen? Before we begin unraveling these questions, I'd like to pause for a moment. If you are here right now, listening in the quiet of your evening or the early hours of dawn, you're part of a small circle gathered around this topic. Perhaps you are in your room, headphones on. Perhaps you're lying down after a long day, or maybe you're far from home, letting these words be your company. I'd love for you to share in the comments where you're listening from, your city, your corner of the world, or even just whether it's night or morning for you. It's always a special thing to see how far this little thread of connection can stretch. And if you'd like to return for more journeys like this one, subscribing is the simplest way to stay close to us here. Now, let us begin. Dreams have been described as windows into the unconscious, as mirrors of the soul, as echoes of memory, or simply as the brain's way of clearing its clutter. But whatever theory we use, there is one fact that cannot be ignored. When we dream, the mind does not rest. Brain scans reveal that during rapid eye movement or REM sleep, certain regions of the brain light up almost as brightly as if you were awake. The centers for vision, for emotion, for memory, all active. It is as though the body shuts down, but the mind continues running, freed from the constraints of waking logic. Consider how strange this is. When you close your eyes tonight, you may find yourself running through a forest you've never seen, talking to a stranger who somehow feels familiar, or flying across a city that does not exist. And yet, in the moment of the dream, it feels real. Your heart races. Your emotions are strong. Your thoughts adapt to the story without question. Only upon waking do you realize how impossible it all was. In a sense, dreams are proof that the brain can create reality out of nothing but itself. But this raises the question, what is their purpose? Evolution rarely wastes energy, and dreaming consumes a great deal of it. Some scientists argue that dreams help us consolidate memory, sorting the day's experiences into patterns that can be stored. Others believe they are emotional rehearsals, allowing us to process fear, sadness, or joy in a safe, symbolic space. Still others suggest dreams are a form of creativity, where the brain experiments without rules, finding new connections it could never risk in waking life. Pause for a moment and reflect. Have you ever solved a problem in a dream, or woken with an idea you had not considered before? If so, you've experienced the creative side of dreaming, a side that has given the world songs, poems, scientific breakthroughs, and art. Paul McCartney famously dreamt the melody of Yesterday. Dmitri Mendeleev claimed the structure of the periodic table came to him in a dream. Even great inventions have been seeded by the unconscious mind at rest. Dreams also carry weight in memory. Studies show that people who are deprived of REM sleep struggle to learn new information, Without dreams, the brain cannot fully lock new experiences into long-term storage. In this way, dreams may be the librarians of our minds, carefully filing away what matters and discarding what does not. And then, of course, there is the question of meaning. For thousands of years, humans have treated dreams as messages, from the gods, from the dead, from fate itself. Ancient Egyptians recorded their dreams on papyrus, believing they contained prophecies. In Greece, dreams were thought to be journeys of the soul into other realms. Across cultures, dreams were never seen as accidents, they were communications. Whether true or not, this shows how deeply humans have always respected the power of dreams. So tonight, as we begin this journey into the science of dreaming, let us carry both sides of the mystery. On one side, the measurable rhythms of brain, waves, the cycles of sleep, the chemistry of neurons. On the other, the endless symbols, the mythologies, the private landscapes that only you can see. In the coming hours, we will explore both, the science that explains and the wonder that inspires. For dreams are not one thing, they are many. They are biology and imagination, fear and hope, memory and invention. And perhaps by the end, you will not only fall asleep peacefully, but wake tomorrow with a greater sense of the strange miracle that unfolds in your mind each night. Dreams are slippery to define. Ask 10 scientists and you may receive 10 different answers. Some will say, dreams are simply the brain's byproduct of electrical firing during sleep. Others insist they are organized experiences shaped by psychology and biology alike. What unites them all is the acknowledgement that dreams are not random nonsense. They follow rhythms, patterns, and structures that can be studied, even if they are not fully understood. The most common definition is that dreams are sequences of images, emotions, and sensations that occur involuntarily in the mind during sleep. They are immersive, often vivid, sometimes coherent, and sometimes chaotic. But more than anything, they are experiences, real to the dreamer, even if their logic collapses when recalled in the morning. That reality felt so strongly in the moment is part of what makes dreams so extraordinary. To understand dreams, we must first look at the architecture of sleep itself. Sleep is not a uniform state, but a cycle of stages. As you drift off, your brain passes through light sleep, deeper sleep, and eventually into what is called REM sleep, or rapid eye movement. In REM, your eyes flicker beneath your eyelids as though scanning an invisible world. The brain's activity resembles waking, consciousness buzzing with energy, yet your muscles are paralyzed to prevent you from acting out what you dream. It is here, in this strange combination of activity and stillness, that the most vivid dreams arise. Not all dreams occur in REM, however. Non-REM stages also bring dreams, though they tend to be simpler, less story-like, and easier to forget. If REM dreams are the grand theatre of the mind, then non-REM dreams are its quiet rehearsals. Both matter, but in different ways. Together they make up the tapestry of nightly experience. What makes dreams particularly intriguing is how they blur the line between perception and imagination. When you dream of running, your brain's motor regions activate as if your legs are moving. When you dream of fear, your amygdala, the brain's fear center, lights up. In every measurable sense, the brain treats the dream as a real event. The only difference is that your senses are cut off from the outside world. Your eyes see not the bedroom, but images generated within. Your ears hear not the world outside, but sounds created in the mind's own workshop. This explains why dreams can provoke such strong emotions. A nightmare can leave your heart pounding, your body sweating, even after waking. A pleasant dream can lift your mood for hours. The brain does not distinguish much between dreaming and living. In fact, to the dreaming brain, they are the same. One might pause here and reflect. Does this mean dreams are reality, at least while they occur? For the dreamer, the answer is yes. You cannot step outside a dream while it happens. You cannot declare, "This is false," and walk away. The dream is your reality until you wake. That simple fact has haunted philosophers for centuries. If dreams feel real while they happen, what certainty do we have that waking life is any different? Perhaps, some mused, life itself is another layer of dreaming. But returning to science, there is more structure to dreams than we often realize. Studies reveal that dreams are often influenced by waking experiences. A conversation, a song, or even a fleeting thought during the day can reappear at night in disguised form. This is known as the day residue effect, the brain recycling fragments of daily life into dream imagery. Yet dreams are not mere copies. They are creative, weaving the residue of reality into new stories, new landscapes, and sometimes surreal narratives that seem to follow their own rules. Dreams also have recurring themes across cultures and individuals. Flying, falling, being chased, losing teeth, showing up unprepared for an exam. These themes are reported by people across the world, regardless of language or culture. Such universality suggests that dreams emerge from deep structures in the human mind, not just random accidents of memory. They are shaped by fear, desire, and survival instincts we all share. As we move forward, we'll step into history. Long before science had words like REM or neurons, people were already trying to make sense of dreams. For them, dreams were not brain processes, but messages, visions, or omens. To understand how humans have always seen dreams, we must travel back thousands of years to the earliest civilizations that tried to interpret the language of the night. Long before neuroscience, before brain scans or psychology textbooks, humans looked at dreams as messages from beyond. They were not seen as random flickers of the mind, but as windows to the sacred, the mysterious, or the divine. To fall asleep was to step into another realm, one where gods, ancestors, or spirits could speak directly. In ancient Mesopotamia, dreams were so important that entire manuals were written to interpret them. Clay tablets from thousands of years ago list dream symbols alongside their meanings, much like an early dream dictionary. A dream of water might mean prosperity, while a dream of collapse could warn of disaster. Kings consulted priests to interpret their dreams, believing they were channels of prophecy. Some rulers even made state decisions based on what they dreamed the night before. In Egypt, dreams were treated as sacred encounters. Temples dedicated to healing and divination included special chambers where people would sleep, hoping to receive visions. These practices, known as dream incubation, were believed to allow contact with gods who could send messages or guidance. Egyptians recorded their dreams carefully, carving interpretations into stone or writing them on papyrus. To them, a dream was never meaningless. It was always a sign, a clue, or a warning. The Greeks too saw dreams as bridges between worlds. In Homer's epics, dreams appear as direct communications from the gods. Later, philosophers began to argue over their meaning. Aristotle thought dreams were products of the body, reflections of internal conditions like illness or digestion. But others, such as Artemidorus, compiled vast handbooks cataloguing dream symbols, convinced they revealed truths about the future. Even ordinary people believed their nightly visions carried weight, often shaping decisions about travel, trade, or marriage. In China, ancient traditions spoke of dreams as journeys of the soul. A dream could take you beyond the body, into realms of ancestors or spirits. Taoist texts describe techniques to guide dreams, much like early lucid dreaming practice. As the ancient world gave way to the medieval era, The way people thought about dreams changed, but the sense of mystery remained. Instead of clay tablets or temple rituals, interpretations of dreams were filtered through religion. For much of the Middle Ages in Europe, Christianity shaped how people understood the night. Dreams were no longer just natural phenomena. They were moral, spiritual, and often warnings from heaven or temptations from hell. Saint Augustine, one of the early Christian thinkers, wrestled with the meaning of his dreams. He believed some dreams were divine visions sent to guide the faithful, while others were snares from the devil. This distinction between dreams that uplift the soul and dreams that corrupt it became a central concern for theologians. Monks recorded their dreams in journals, analyzing whether they revealed God's will or human weakness. For them, the sleeping mind was a battleground between the sacred and the sinful. Prophetic dreams also remained powerful during this time. Many medieval rulers took their dreams as signs of divine favor or warning. Chroniclers recorded instances of kings who dreamt of their own deaths before battles, or visions of saints who appeared to grant protection. Entire wars were justified by dream visions, often recounted by religious authorities who interpreted them as heavenly approval. To dream was to receive a message, one that could change the course of history. But not all religious traditions saw dreams as purely moral tests. In the Islamic Golden Age, scholars such as Ibn Sirin compiled vast works of dream interpretation, blending religious insight with psychological observation. Dreams in Islamic thought could be a reflection of the dreamer's state of mind, a symbol to be unraveled, or indeed a true vision from God. Unlike some Christian theologians who worried about the dangers of dreams, Islamic scholars often approached them as a science of signs, something to be studied systematically. In Jewish mysticism, dreams were also given weight. The Talmud contains lengthy discussions about their meanings. Some rabbis suggested that even dreams of nonsense contain a fragment of truth. Others taught that dreams could only be understood through interpretation, meaning the dream itself was incomplete without the human effort to decipher it. This idea that dreams are messages needing human participation to reveal their meaning echoes across cultures. Outside of the Abrahamic world, medieval traditions in Asia also kept dreams at the center of life. In Japan, during the Heian period, dream diaries were kept by nobles as both spiritual guides and personal reflections. Dreams were thought to reveal karma, to give insight into one's moral progress, or to warn of hidden dangers. In Tibet, Buddhist practices developed what is known as dream yoga, the attempt to remain conscious during dreams as a form of meditation. For practitioners, mastering dreams meant glimpsing the illusory nature of reality itself. These varied traditions show how dreams never lost their sacred or symbolic power, even as centuries passed. To a medieval monk, a dream might test his virtue. To a Muslim scholar, it might be a coded message from God. To a Tibetan monk, it was a gateway to enlightenment. Across the world, the night remained filled with meaning, even if those meanings were interpreted differently. One common thread across these interpretations is the belief that dreams connect the individual to something greater. They were not seen as private fictions, but as part of a wider order. Whether divine, moral, or cosmic, dreams were always more than just personal. They carried weight beyond the dreamer, shaping communities, guiding leaders, and influencing spiritual practice. But with time, skepticism began to grow. The Enlightenment brought with it a stronger focus on reason, and dreams began to be seen more as curiosities than as prophecies. Some thinkers dismissed them as the result of indigestion, the brain responding to food or bodily imbalances. Others began to suggest they were simply the mind's noise firing randomly in the absence of waking control. The sacred aura around dreams dimmed, but fascination remained. This shift laid the ground for a new kind of study. By the 19th century, science was beginning to turn its attention to the mind itself. Instead of priests and philosophers, doctors and psychologists began asking, what do dreams reveal about us? Are they reflections of desire? Are they messages from the unconscious? Could they be studied not as divine signs but as keys to human psychology? No figure shaped this transition more than Sigmund Freud. With his book, The Interpretation of Dreams, he transformed the way modern society thought about the sleeping mind. Dreams, for Freud, were not messages from gods or demons but from ourselves, expressions of hidden wishes and fears we might never admit while awake. His ideas would change not only the study of dreams but the entire landscape of psychology. And so, from temples and monasteries, the study of dreams moved into laboratories and clinics. The sacred gave way to the scientific. Yet the sense of wonder remained. For even under the lens of science, dreams never lost their power to fascinate. When Sigmund Freud published The Interpretation of Dreams in 1899, he declared it his most important work, the cornerstone of his entire psychology. And for good reason. For centuries, dreams had been seen as divine, moral, or mystical. Freud offered something radically different, the idea that dreams were personal messages crafted by the unconscious mind, filled with hidden meaning about the dreamer's own desires, fears, and conflicts. To Freud, dreams were the royal road to the unconscious. He believed the mind was divided between what we know and what we repress. Beneath the surface of daily awareness lies a vast reservoir of thoughts and urges we cannot or will not confront directly. Dreams, he argued, are the disguise our unconscious uses to express these buried forces. They slip past the watchful gate of waking consciousness, emerging in strange symbols and stories at night. Central to Freud's theory was the idea of wish fulfillment. He suggested that every dream, no matter how frightening or nonsensical, was at its core an attempt to fulfill some hidden desire. Often these desires were sexual or aggressive, shaped by childhood experiences. A dream about climbing a staircase might represent ambition or a repressed sexual drive. A dream of losing teeth could symbolize anxiety about power, aging, or castration. The symbolism was not always obvious, but Freud insisted that behind every dream there was meaning. Freud also distinguished between two layers of a dream. The manifest content was the story you remembered upon waking, the surface narrative of events and images. The latent content was the hidden meaning beneath, the unconscious wishes disguised by symbols. To uncover this deeper layer, Freud used a method called free association. A patient would describe a dream and then say whatever came to mind about each element. In this way, he believed, the unconscious could be coaxed into revealing itself. Consider how revolutionary this was at the time. Instead of treating dreams as divine prophecy or meaningless nonsense, Freud placed them at the center of psychology. He argued that to understand someone's dreams was to understand the hidden architecture of their mind. For the first time, the private visions of the night became tools of therapy, guiding both patient and doctor toward buried truths. Not everyone agreed with Freud. Even during his lifetime, critics accused him of overemphasizing sexuality or reading too much into symbolism. Some called his interpretations subjective, more art than science. Yet whether one agrees with him or not, Freud changed the conversation forever. He made dreams matter to psychology. He gave them a place in the study of the human mind, one that persists even today. Freud also believed that dreams served as a kind of safety valve. By allowing forbidden wishes to appear in disguised form, They prevented the unconscious from overwhelming us in waking life. In this sense, dreams were not just revelations, but protections. They kept the psyche balanced, releasing tension in symbolic ways. A nightmare might be frightening, but to Freud, it was also useful. The unconscious working out conflicts without shattering the conscious mind. Perhaps what is most enduring about Freud's view is not the specific symbols he suggested, but the broader idea that dreams are meaningful. They are not random, not wasteful. They are coded expressions of ourselves. Even those who reject Freud's emphasis on sexuality often carry forward his central belief that dreams have something to say, and that listening to them brings us closer to understanding who we are. One might pause here and reflect, have you ever dreamt of something that seemed trivial, but later felt revealing? Perhaps you dreamt of a place you had not visited in years, or of a person you thought you had forgotten. Freud would argue this was no accident. The unconscious remembers what the conscious does not. In dreams, the past returns, often in disguise. It is no coincidence that Freud's work on dreams influenced not only psychology but also art, literature, and culture. The Surrealist movement, with its strange juxtapositions and dreamlike imagery, drew heavily on his ideas. Writers and filmmakers began to treat dreams not as random curiosities, but as doors to hidden worlds. The modern fascination with the subconscious owes much to Freud's insistence that dreams were its language, and yet Freud's theories were only the beginning. If Freud saw dreams as wish fulfillment, another thinker soon came forward with a different, though equally powerful, vision. Carl Jung, once Freud's disciple and later his critic, argued that dreams were more than personal desires. For Jung, they tapped into something deeper, a collective unconscious shared by all humanity. Where Freud saw hidden wishes, Jung saw archetypes and universal symbols. Together, their theories created two of the most influential frameworks for understanding the mind, and both continue to shape how we think about dreams today. Carl Jung began his career as one of Freud's brightest students, but soon their paths diverged. Where Freud emphasized hidden wishes, often rooted in childhood or sexuality, Jung saw dreams as far more expansive. To him, they were not simply personal messages, but bridges to something universal. Dreams, he argued, reveal the deeper structures of the psyche, structures that connect every human being across time and culture. At the heart of Jung's theory was the idea of the collective unconscious. Beyond the personal unconscious, the storehouse of individual memories and repressed thoughts, Jung believed there existed a shared layer of the mind. This collective unconscious contained archetypes, primal patterns, and symbols inherited through humanity's long history. These archetypes surfaced in myths, religions, and most vividly in dreams. Consider how people across the world, separated by oceans and centuries, often report similar dream themes. Figures of the wise old man, the nurturing mother, the shadowy stranger, or the heroic journey appear again and again. For Jung, this was no coincidence. These were archetypes, universal characters, and motifs that shape human imagination. In dreams, they emerge not as random images, but as profound symbols, pointing to truths about the human condition. Jung's view made dreams less about hidden desires and more about growth. Dreams, he said, serve a compensatory function. They balance the conscious mind, offering insights or correcting imbalances. For example, if a person was overly rational and rigid while awake, their dreams might erupt with wild, chaotic imagery, forcing the psyche to confront what it was ignoring. In this way, dreams were guides, nudging the dreamer toward wholeness. Jung also believed dreams could reveal the shadow, the parts of ourselves we deny or reject. A dream of being chased by a terrifying figure might represent not an external threat but an inner one, aspects of the self we fear to acknowledge. By facing the shadow in dreams, a person could begin the process of integration, accepting the full spectrum of their nature. This idea of integration was central to Jung's psychology. He called it individuation, the lifelong journey of becoming whole. Dreams, in his view, were essential tools in this process. They showed us what was missing, what was hidden, and what we needed to face. To ignore them was to miss the voice of the deeper self. Beyond individual growth, Jung saw dreams as connecting us to myth and story. The same symbols that appeared in ancient myths, dragons, gods, underworlds, transformations, also appeared in modern dreams. This continuity suggested that beneath cultural differences, humanity shared a common well of imagination. A person dreaming of a great flood in the 20th century might echo the same archetypal imagery that shaped ancient stories of deluge and rebirth. Dreams were not just personal, they were mythic. One might reflect here on the difference between Freud and Jung. Where Freud reduced dreams to expressions of repressed desire, Jung expanded them into cosmic mirrors, showing both personal and collective truths. Freud saw dreams as something to be decoded, like puzzles hiding forbidden thoughts. Jung saw them as symbolic narratives guiding us toward meaning. The tension between their views continues to shape psychology today. Critics argue that Jung's theories are difficult to prove scientifically. Archetypes are compelling, but how can one measure them in a laboratory? Still, the enduring appeal of Jung's ideas lies in their resonance. Many people find that their dreams feel archetypal, filled with figures or themes larger than their personal life. To Jung, this resonance was no accident. It was the collective unconscious speaking through the individual mind. As we move forward, we leave the era of Freud and Jung behind, stepping into the modern age of neuroscience. With brain scans and experiments, scientists have begun to unravel the biology of dreams. What happens in the sleeping brain, what circuits fire, and what chemicals surge? The sacred and the symbolic give way for a moment to the measurable. And yet even here, the mystery of dreams remains. Dreams may feel mysterious, but neuroscience has shown that the dreaming brain is far from idle. In fact, during sleep, the brain is alive with activity, sometimes even more than when awake. Sleep unfolds in cycles: light sleep, deep sleep, and REM, or rapid eye movement. REM is where the most vivid dreams occur. The brain's visual centers glow as if the eyes were open. The emotional circuits in the limbic system surge with energy, and the hippocampus, guardian of memory, fires intensely. It is, in many ways, waking life without the outside world. But while sensory and emotional regions blaze, the prefrontal cortex, at the seat of logic and control, goes quiet. This silencing explains why the impossible feels natural in dreams. Flying, speaking to the dead, walking through walls. None of it feels strange when the inner critic is off duty. Dreams are vivid but unpoliced, filled with emotion but not logic. Chemistry also shifts. During REM, acetylcholine floods the brain, fueling imagery and memory replay, while serotonin and norepinephrine, stabilizers of attention, drop. The balance creates a state where imagination roams freely, unbound by rational order. Why does the brain do this? One leading theory is memory consolidation. Dreams weave fragments of waking life into long-term storage, blending the trivial and the important into surreal stories. A song heard on the street may fuse with a childhood memory or a lingering worry, producing a dream that feels bizarre yet purposeful, the brain deciding what to keep and what to discard. Another possibility is emotional regulation. Nightmares, with their racing hearts and surges of fear, may serve as rehearsals for survival. By simulating threats in a safe environment, the brain practices responses. Painful as they are, nightmares may be mental fire drills. Dreams also appear to enhance creativity. With logic relaxed, distant thoughts can connect. History is full of inventions, poems, and breakthroughs sparked by dreams. Neuroscience confirms what artists long suspected. Dreaming loosens the boundaries of thought, letting imagination wander into new territory. Still, debate remains. Some argue dreams are just byproducts of brain housekeeping with no function of their own. Others insist they are essential to memory, learning, and emotional balance. Perhaps both are true. Dreams arise from the brain's mechanics, but also serve deeper purposes depending on context. What is clear is that dreams are deeply biological. They are not supernatural intrusions, but the natural outcome of neurons firing and chemicals shifting in rhythmic waves. Yet knowing this does not diminish their mystery, for even when reduced to circuits and neurotransmitters, the lived experience of a dream, its landscapes, its characters, its strangeness, remains beyond the reach of measurement. Think about it. Tonight, your brain will conjure entire worlds. You may walk through places you've never visited, see faces you miss, or encounter fears you ignore. Each will feel discovered, not invented, even though they all come from within. This paradox that the brain fabricates what the dreamer experiences as revelation is part of the enduring magic of dreams. From here, the story shifts. Science can map the mechanics, but meaning belongs elsewhere. Why do certain themes return again and again? What do our dreams tell us about who we are? To answer these questions, we must step into the strange and contested world of dream interpretation. For as long as people have dreamt, they have tried to explain what those dreams mean. Even with neuroscience mapping the brain, the urge to interpret remains strong. A dream is not just an image or a story, it feels like a message. And across history, people have turned that feeling into systems of meaning, from ancient dictionaries of symbols to modern psychology. One of the most common approaches is symbolic interpretation. The idea is simple. Dreams speak in codes. A house might symbolize the self, with each room representing a different part of life. Water might stand for emotion, calm seas for peace, storms for turmoil. Falling could reflect a loss of control, while flying might suggest freedom or ambition. These interpretations are not fixed, but many recur across cultures. They form a shared language of imagery that people turn to when trying to make sense of their nights. Yet dreams are also personal. The same image may carry very different meanings for different people. To someone raised near the ocean, water may evoke comfort. To someone who nearly drowned, it may represent fear. Modern psychologists often emphasize this individuality. Symbols cannot be reduced to universal definitions. Instead, they are drawn from the dreamer's own experiences. What matters most is not the image itself, but how the dreamer feels about it. Another approach comes from Freud and Jung, whose theories we've already explored. Freud saw dreams as disguised wish fulfillment, revealing unconscious desires through symbolic narratives. Jung saw them as mythic, filled with archetypes that connect the dreamer to humanity's collective unconscious. Both insisted that dreams reveal truths hidden from the waking mind, though they disagreed on what those truths were. Their legacy shaped much of 20th century dream interpretation, and echoes of their ideas still appear in modern therapy. In the late 20th century, new theories emerged. Some psychologists proposed that dreams act as a form of problem-solving. By replaying conflicts or anxieties, the mind explores possible outcomes in a safe environment. A stressful dream before an exam might be the brain rehearsing stress management. A dream of reconciliation with a lost friend might be the psyche working through unresolved emotions. In this view, dreams are not riddles but rehearsals, offering a stage where the mind practices for waking life. Others have suggested that dreams reflect our deepest emotional concerns. If you dream repeatedly of being chased, it may signal avoidance, something in waking life you do not want to face. If you dream of being unprepared or late, it may reveal anxiety about responsibility. In this sense, interpretation is less about decoding symbols and more about recognizing patterns. What themes return again and again? What emotions dominate? These recurring elements may be the truest message of dreams. Interestingly, research shows that many people across cultures share certain dream themes: being chased, falling, losing teeth, appearing naked in public, or flying. These are so widespread that they suggest common human concerns: vulnerability, fear, loss, and desire for freedom. While individual details vary, the universality of these themes is striking. It hints that dreams reflect not just personal lives, but the shared architecture of human psychology. Of course, not all scholars agree that dreams hold meaning at all. Some argue they are random byproducts, stories woven by the brain to make sense of chaotic signals. Yet even if that were true, people still find meaning in them, and perhaps that is what matters most. The power of a dream lies not in whether it carries an objective message, but in how it moves the dreamer. A dream that inspires courage, sparks creativity, or reveals hidden emotion has meaning, even if it arose by chance. Pause for a moment and think of your own dreams. Have you noticed patterns? Certain places or faces that return again and again? Perhaps they are not random. Perhaps they are your mind's way of reminding you of what you carry deep inside. Even if no universal dictionary can decode them, your own attention to them may reveal truths no one else could see. And so dream interpretation remains a blend of science, psychology, and personal reflection. It is not an exact map, but a mirror, one that reflects both the universal and the personal. We may never agree on what a dream really means, but the attempt to interpret is itself meaningful. It is a conversation between waking and sleeping, selves, a dialogue with the hidden mind. From here, the story of dreams takes us into another fascinating territory: the possibility of control. For while most dreams unfold without our guidance, some can be steered. This is the strange and thrilling world of lucid dreaming, when the dreamer awakens inside the dream. Most dreams feel like stories we are thrown into. We wander through them passively, reacting to whatever unfolds, unable to change the script. But occasionally, something different happens. In the middle of a dream, a strange awareness dawns. You realize you are dreaming. Suddenly the dream becomes flexible. You are no longer just an actor. You are the director. This is lucid dreaming. Lucid dreaming is not just fantasy. It is a documented phenomenon studied by scientists. In the 1970s and 1980s, researchers asked trained lucid dreamers to move their eyes in specific patterns while asleep. Eye muscles remain active in REM sleep, so these movements showed up on sleep recordings. The results proved what had long been rumored: people could be conscious inside their dreams and even send signals from within. What makes lucid dreaming remarkable is the sense of control. Some dreamers choose to fly across cities, explore imagined landscapes, or speak with dream characters. Others use lucidity for problem-solving, rehearsing skills, or confronting fears. A nightmare that once felt terrifying can become an opportunity. Realizing it is a dream, the dreamer might turn and face the pursuer, transforming fear into courage. How does one learn to dream lucidly? Techniques vary. Some practice reality checks during the day. Small tests like glancing at a clock twice or trying to push a finger through the palm. In waking life, the clock stays steady and the finger meets resistance. But in dreams, clocks may shift wildly and fingers may pass through. By making these checks a habit, the dreamer increases the chance of doing one inside a dream, sparking lucidity. Another method is called wake back to bed. A person wakes after a few hours of sleep, stays awake briefly, and then returns to bed. Entering REM sleep directly increases the chance of lucidity. Others use meditation, visualization, or simply the intention of remembering, before sleep, repeating the phrase, "Tonight, I will realize I am dreaming." Lucid dreaming is not easy for everyone. Some may never experience it while others do so naturally, but for those who manage it, the experience can be profound. It is a blend of waking awareness and dream imagery, a state where the imagination feels limitless. Some report sensations more vivid than waking life, colors brighter, sounds sharper, flying more exhilarating than any roller coaster. Scientists remain divided on its purpose. Some argue that lucid dreaming is simply an extension of waking consciousness, a trick of self-awareness during REM. Others suggest it could have therapeutic benefits. Studies show that people who practice lucid dreaming may reduce the frequency of nightmares. By confronting threats in a dream, they weaken their hold in waking life. For trauma survivors, this can be a powerful tool. Lucid dreaming also fascinates philosophers. If a person can create entire worlds while asleep, worlds that feel as real as waking life, what does that say about reality itself? How do we know we are not dreaming right now? The ancient Chinese philosopher Zhuangzi once dreamt he was a butterfly. Upon waking, he wondered, was he a man who dreamt of being a butterfly, or a butterfly now dreaming he was a man? Lucid dreaming sharpens this paradox, showing how thin the line is between perception and reality. There is, however, a caution. Some who chase lucidity too aggressively report disturbed sleep, fragmented rest, or a sense of disconnection from waking reality. Like any tool of the mind, it carries risks if pursued without balance. The goal is not to conquer dreams, but to explore them, gently, respectfully, and with curiosity. Perhaps the most intriguing part of lucid dreaming is not the control, but the insight. When you speak to a dream character, who are you really speaking to? When you change a dream landscape, what part of yourself is reshaping it? Lucid dreams may offer a rare glimpse into the creative depths of the psyche, a chance to interact with imagination as if it were another world. From the mystery of lucid dreams, our journey moves toward another fascinating question. Why do dreams sometimes slip away the moment we wake? The next step is memory. Why some dreams linger for years, while others vanish like mist at dawn. Nearly everyone knows the frustration. You wake from a vivid dream, certain you will remember it, only to feel it dissolve within minutes. The harder you try to hold on to it, the faster it slips away. By breakfast, the dream has vanished, leaving behind only fragments, a place, a feeling, a face. Why are dreams so hard to remember? The answer lies partly in the biology of memory. During waking life, the brain relies on the hippocampus to store experiences. It acts as a kind of filing system, transferring short-term impressions into long-term storage. But during REM sleep, the hippocampus behaves differently. While it is active, its communication with other brain regions is altered. Dreams are vivid, but they are not encoded in the same way as waking events. The result is fragile memories, easily lost upon waking. Neurochemistry plays a role as well. Levels of norepinephrine, a neurotransmitter critical for memory consolidation, drop sharply during REM. Without it, the brain struggles to anchor dream experiences firmly. It is as if the pen that normally writes memories onto the page of the mind runs out of ink. The dream is lived but not recorded. Timing also matters. People who wake during a dream are far more likely to remember it than those who wake after sleep cycles have moved on. The closer the awakening to the dream's occurrence, the more vivid the recall. This is why alarms, disturbances, or earlier rising often bring sharper dream memories than sleeping straight through the night. Still, some dreams do linger. These are often the ones charged with strong emotion. Fear, joy, or grief seem to stamp the dream more deeply, perhaps because emotional circuits in the brain remain active even when memory circuits are not. A nightmare may stay etched for years, while a neutral dream vanishes within minutes. Emotion acts as a kind of adhesive, binding dreams more securely to waking memory. Why do we forget so much? One possibility is that forgetting is adaptive. Dreams often mix fragments of reality with nonsense, creating stories that could confuse waking life if remembered too vividly. By letting them fade, the brain may be protecting us from overload, ensuring that our memory remains useful rather than cluttered. Another possibility is that forgetting forces us to focus on meaning rather than detail. What remains of a dream is often its mood, the sense of unease, longing, or wonder it left behind. That emotional residue may be more important than the specific story. Perhaps dreams are meant to shape how we feel, not what we recall. There are ways to improve recall for those who wish to remember. Keeping a dream journal, writing down images immediately upon waking, can train the brain to capture them. Replaying the dream silently before moving or speaking can also preserve it longer. With practice, some people recall multiple dreams each night, while others rarely remember any at all. The difference is less about whether they dream, everyone does, and more about whether they attend to the fragile window of memory upon waking. This fragility of dream recall raises deeper questions. How many extraordinary dreams have we lived and forgotten? How many insights, images, or inner dialogues have dissolved into silence? Each night, entire worlds may rise and fall in our minds, gone before we pour the morning's first cup of tea. Perhaps that is part of their beauty. They are experiences meant to be lived fully in the moment, like sand castles washed away by the tide. And yet, even the forgotten dreams leave traces. They may not linger in words or images, but they shape mood, thought, and even creativity. A dream that cannot be remembered may still influence a decision, spark an idea, or shift an emotion. In this way, the unseen life of dreams continues to ripple through waking existence. From here, our path takes us beyond memory into the future, not just of the individual dreamer, but of dream science itself. Technology is beginning to push the boundary between night and day, offering ways to record, decode, and even influence dreams. What was once private to the sleeper may soon be observable to others. For most of human history, dreams were private. No one but the dreamer could know what unfolded at night. But science is beginning to change that. Advances in brain imaging and artificial intelligence are pushing open the door to a future where dreams can be observed, recorded, and perhaps even shaped. In recent experiments, researchers have mapped patterns of brain activity during sleep and compared them to waking images. By training algorithms, they have begun to predict, with some accuracy, what kinds of objects people are seeing in dreams, whether it is a face, a house, or a landscape. The resolution is crude, but the implications are extraordinary. It suggests that one day dreams might be reconstructed visually, like movies playing back the mind's hidden cinema. There are also studies in dream influence. Scientists have used sounds, smells, and even gentle electrical stimulation to alter the content of dreams. A subtle scent introduced during sleep can weave its way into a dream storyline. Soft tones can guide imagery, turning nightmares toward safer outcomes. Some researchers envision therapies where people suffering from trauma might find relief by gently steering their dreams away from recurring fears. But these possibilities also raise questions. If dreams can be recorded, who owns them? Are they private thoughts or shareable data? If they can be influenced, where is the line between therapy and manipulation? The future of dream science is not only technological but ethical, forcing us to consider whether the last refuge of privacy, the sleeping mind, should remain untouched. Dream technology may also expand creativity. Already, artists and musicians experiment with techniques to capture dream imagery. Imagine a future where dream journals are not handwritten notes, but high-definition recordings, where an artist could paint directly from their own subconscious visions. The boundary between waking creation and dream inspiration may blur, opening new forms of expression. For medicine, the stakes are equally high. Disorders such as PTSD, insomnia, or night terrors might one day be treated not only with waking therapy, but with dream engineering. By rewriting nightmares or boosting restorative dream phases, the brain could heal itself in new ways. Already, lucid dreaming therapies show promise in this area. Future tools may take it further, offering precise adjustments to the architecture of sleep. Of course, not everyone welcomes this vision. To many, the very point of dreams is their mystery. They are unscripted, unpredictable, and deeply personal. To capture them too precisely may strip them of meaning, reducing what feels sacred to mere data points. Perhaps the forgetting, the fragility, and the strangeness are part of what makes dreams valuable. They are not meant to be controlled, but experienced. Still, science will not stand still. Each decade brings new tools, sharper measurements, deeper insights into the brain's nocturnal theater. Whether we embrace or resist, the study of dreams will continue to expand, linking psychology, neuroscience, and technology in ways once reserved for science fiction. As we consider this future, it is worth remembering how far we have come. From ancient dream oracles to Freud's analysis, from Jung's archetypes to modern MRI machines, each era has added a layer to our understanding. And yet, despite all progress, the essence of dreaming remains elusive. We can measure the brain, but the experience, the feeling of walking through a dream world, is still uniquely human. Perhaps that is where the real meaning lies. Not in recording every detail, but in knowing that the dream connects waking and sleeping selves, past and future, science and mystery. The future of dream science may bring astonishing possibilities, but the wonder will remain the same. Each night we slip into another world, and each morning we return carrying fragments of it with us. From here, our journey moves toward its close. We have explored the science, the psychology, and the possibilities. What remains is reflection. Why dreams matter and what they reveal about us as human beings. Every night, without effort, we enter a world that is both intimate and infinite. Dreams arrive quietly, carrying pieces of memory, fragments of fear, and flashes of wonder. They vanish just as quietly, leaving only traces in the morning light. And yet, when we look closely, dreams tell us something profound about who we are. They show us that the mind is not limited to waking hours. Even in rest, it creates, explores, and questions. In dreams, the brain tests boundaries of memory, of imagination, of fear and hope. It stitches together what has been lived with what has never been, producing stories that feel at once impossible and deeply personal. Dreams also remind us that we are more connected than we think. Across cultures and centuries, people have dreamed of falling, of flying, of being chased, or standing exposed before others. These patterns suggest that beneath our differences lies a shared human core. To dream is to participate in something universal, an inner language that does not depend on words. And yet dreams remain deeply individual. What terrifies one person may comfort another. What inspires awe in one dreamer may leave another confused. The universality and the individuality coexist, making each dream both common and unique, a bridge between humanity and the self. Science has given us powerful tools to study dreams. We can map the brain's rhythms, trace its chemistry, and even glimpse its imagery. But no matter how much data we gather, the experience of dreaming remains a mystery from the inside. It is lived, not measured. This tension between the measurable and the ineffable is what makes dreams so endlessly fascinating. They also reveal something about time. Dreams collapse past and present, weaving childhood memories with tomorrow's anxieties blending, faces of the living with echoes of the dead. In them, time loses its usual order, reminding us that memory itself is fluid. Perhaps that is why dreams feel so poignant. They place us outside the ordinary flow in a space where everything can coexist at once. Dreams challenge our sense of reality as well. If the mind can create entire worlds that feel as vivid as waking life, what does that say about reality itself? Is waking life another kind of dream, held steady only by agreement and continuity? Philosophers, poets, and scientists alike have wrestled with this question, and dreams keep it alive. But maybe the greatest value of dreams is not in the questions they raise, but in the reflection they encourage. They ask us to pause, to notice what stirs within us, to listen to the quiet voice that speaks when the world falls away. A forgotten dream may leave only a mood, but even that can shift the course of a day. A remembered dream may spark creativity, inspire a decision, or open a door to deeper understanding. Think of the journey we have taken together. From ancient interpretations to Freud and Jung, from neuroscience to lucid dreaming, from forgetting to the future of dream science. Each perspective adds a piece, but none captures the whole. Dreams are too rich, too layered, too human to be reduced to one explanation. They are not puzzles to be solved, but companions to be experienced. And so as we close this long exploration, perhaps the most important message is simply to pay attention. Notice the dreams that linger. Write them down, reflect on them, honor them as part of your life. Even if their meaning is uncertain, their presence matters. They are gifts from the hidden mind, whispers from within. Tonight, when you drift into sleep, remember that you are entering another chapter of this story, one written by you for you, yet shaped by forces shared by all of humanity. You may not remember every detail, but the dream will live on in you, shaping mood, thought, and imagination. And tomorrow, when you open your eyes, you will have traveled across landscapes unseen, spoken to voices unspoken, and touched the edge of mystery once more. That is the quiet miracle of dreaming. It is ordinary, it happens every night, and yet it is extraordinary, reminding us that even in rest, we are explorers of inner worlds. Not all dreams are gentle. Some carry fear sharp enough to wake us in the middle of the night, heart pounding, breath quickened, the memory of danger still vivid. These are nightmares, and they remind us that the dreaming mind is not only a place of wonder, but also of shadow. Nightmares often occur during REM sleep, when the brain's activity is most vivid and emotional. Unlike ordinary dreams, nightmares are charged with fear, helplessness, or horror. They may involve being chased, attacked, trapped, or watching a loved one in danger. For children, monsters and imagined creatures often dominate. For adults, themes may shift to loss, failure, or real-life anxieties. Scientists believe nightmares serve several possible functions. One theory is that they rehearse threats, preparing the brain for danger. In evolutionary terms, a nightmare about being hunted could help ancient humans sharpen their survival instincts. Another theory is that nightmares are the mind's way of processing unresolved stress. By exaggerating fears in a safe, imagined environment, the psyche may be trying to work through them, but nightmares can also be disruptive. Repeated frightening dreams may disturb sleep, leading to fatigue, anxiety, and even avoidance of bedtime itself. For people with PTSD, nightmares replay traumatic events, dragging the past into the present night after night. These are not symbolic rehearsals, but relived experiences as vivid and painful as the original events. Here it is useful to distinguish nightmares from night terrors. Though they are often confused, they are not the same. Nightmares happen during REM sleep and can usually be recalled upon waking. Night terrors, by contrast, occur in non-REM sleep, often earlier in the night. A person experiencing a night terror may sit up suddenly, scream, thrash, or appear panicked, but they are not fully awake and often remember nothing the next day. Night terrors are more common in children and may fade with age, but when they persist, they can deeply disrupt rest. What causes these darker dreams? Stress is one factor. So are irregular sleep schedules, illness, certain medications, and substances like alcohol or caffeine. For children, nightmares are often part of normal development as their brains learn to manage fear. For adults, recurring nightmares may signal underlying anxiety, trauma, or unresolved conflict. Treatment varies. For occasional nightmares, reassurance and better sleep habits may be enough. For recurring nightmares, techniques such as imagery rehearsal therapy can help. This involves rewriting the nightmare's script while awake, changing the outcome to something less threatening, then practicing the new version before sleep. Over time, the brain learns to soften the nightmare's hold. Lucid dreaming, too, can offer relief. Realizing one is dreaming gives the power to confront or even dissolve the threat. Despite their distress, nightmares hold a strange fascination. They show the raw power of the unconscious mind, its ability to summon fear from nothing more than thought. They also remind us that dreams are not always safe havens. They can be mirrors of our darkest worries, and in facing them, we may glimpse truths about ourselves we would rather avoid. Perhaps the most striking fact is that nightmares are universal. Across cultures, across ages, people report the same themes: falling, being pursued, losing control, facing danger. These patterns suggest that fear itself has a language, one shared by all humans, spoken most clearly in the dark hours of sleep. Think for a moment. Have you ever had a nightmare so intense it stayed with you for years? What was it that made it unforgettable? Was it the imagery, the emotion, or the way it touched something real in your life? Even when frightening, dreams can reveal the places where our vulnerabilities lie. They may be difficult, but they can also be instructive. From the shadows of nightmares, we turn to something subtler, yet equally powerful: the dreams that return again and again. Unlike the singular terror of a nightmare, recurring dreams are persistent companions repeating their message night after night. What are they trying to say, and why do they refuse to fade? Some dreams come and go like passing clouds, never to return. But others repeat night after night, year after year, wearing the same face, replaying the same story. These are recurring dreams, and they hold a special place in the mystery of the mind. Recurring dreams are surprisingly common. Studies suggest that up to 60–70% of adults have experienced them at least once. For children, the number is even higher. The themes vary, but patterns emerge: being chased, falling, unprepared for an exam, losing teeth, or showing up somewhere unclothed. They may not always be frightening, but they are often unsettling, marked by the feeling of déjà vu. Why do certain dreams repeat? One theory is that the brain is signaling unresolved conflict. Just as a problem in waking life can return to thought again and again, so too can it return in dreams. If the conflict is not addressed, the dream may reappear as a reminder. In this sense, recurring dreams may be the psyche's way of insisting, pay attention, something here matters. Another possibility is memory consolidation. Dreams often replay elements of waking life, weaving them into symbolic form. If the brain encounters a situation that it perceives as particularly important or stressful, it may circle back repeatedly, trying to integrate it more deeply. Over time, this looping may fade once the brain feels the matter is resolved. Psychologists like Carl Jung saw recurring dreams as messages from the unconscious, highlighting patterns the conscious mind ignores. For Jung, their persistence was significant. The dream would not let go until its lesson was absorbed. In this interpretation, recurring dreams act like teachers, returning to the classroom until the student finally understands. But not all repeating dreams are negative. Some can be neutral, even pleasant. A person might dream again and again of the same house, the same field, or the same unknown city. These settings may become familiar, almost like second homes, places the mind revisits when wandering through sleep. Such dreams may provide continuity, a kind of inner landscape where the self feels rooted. Recurring nightmares, however, are the most troubling. They can indicate trauma, unresolved fear, or ongoing stress. For example, survivors of accidents or combat often report the same nightmare replaying in detail, as if the mind is trapped in the moment. Over time, therapy and healing may reduce their frequency, but until then, the dream returns, refusing to be forgotten. What can be done about recurring dreams? Sometimes awareness itself is enough. Simply recognizing that the dream has a message can shift its power. Keeping a dream journal helps too, turning the repetition into patterns that can be studied. Lucid dreaming techniques may allow intervention. Once the dreamer realizes they are in a recurring dream, they can attempt to change the outcome. A chase might end in confrontation, a fall might turn into flight, an exam might be completed successfully. Such changes can weaken the cycle. Interestingly, recurring dreams often fade when major life changes occur. Moving to a new city, starting a new relationship, or resolving a long-standing conflict can make them vanish. This suggests that they are tied to specific emotional landscapes. Once the landscape changes, the dream no longer has ground to return. From another perspective, recurring dreams may be less about unresolved issues and more about the nature of memory itself. The brain may be prone to repetition, replaying certain neural circuits again and again. Just as habits form through repeated pathways, so too might dreams form loops, caught in familiar routes until something interrupts them. Whatever their cause, recurring dreams remind us that the mind is not random. Even in sleep, it seeks patterns, continuity, and meaning. To dream the same dream more than once is to glimpse that hidden drive. It is as though the unconscious is saying, "Look again, you missed something." From recurring dreams, we step outward to a wider horizon, how people across cultures have understood and valued dreams. Because while science offers one lens, tradition and history offer another, filled with symbols, rituals, and interpretations passed down through generations. Dreams are universal, but the ways people understand them are not. Across history and cultures, dreams have been treated as sacred messages, medical symptoms, glimpses of the future, or reflections of the soul. While modern science views them as brain activity, countless civilizations saw them as bridges to the divine, the dead, or the hidden realms of the self. In ancient Mesopotamia, dreams were recorded on clay tablets as far back as 2000 BCE. Kings consulted dream interpreters before battles, believing that gods sent visions to guide their actions. A good dream could inspire confidence, while a bad one could alter the course of war. For them, dreams were not random, but cosmic signals shaping the fate of empires. The Egyptians, too, placed dreams at the center of spiritual life. They created dream books filled with symbols. Seeing a crocodile might mean danger, seeing a river might mean prosperity. Temples dedicated to healing often included dream incubation chambers, where people slept in hopes of receiving divine visions that would cure illness or bring answers. Dreams were seen as direct communication with gods like Thoth or Ra. In ancient Greece, dreams took on philosophical and medical importance. Hippocrates believed they reflected the state of the body, revealing imbalances of health. Aristotle, more skeptical, thought dreams were products of perception and memory, a kind of leftover sensory activity. Yet even the skeptics admitted that dreams could feel meaningful, blurring the line between biology and mystery. Indigenous cultures worldwide also hold rich dream traditions. For many Native American nations, dreams are not just personal, but communal, guiding rituals, hunts, and decisions. The Lakota Sioux speak of vision quests where dreams during solitary fasting are considered sacred revelations. The Ojibwe developed dream catchers not as decoration, but as tools to filter dreams, allowing good ones through while trapping harmful ones. In Australian Aboriginal traditions, the dream time is not just about sleep, but about creation itself. The dreaming refers to ancestral stories that shaped the land, animals, and people. Dreams are pathways to connect with these timeless stories, ensuring that cultural knowledge and spiritual identity remain alive across generations. In China, the philosopher Zhuangzi famously dreamed he was a butterfly and upon waking asked, was he a man who dreamed of being a butterfly or a butterfly dreaming of being a man? This paradox captures the Taoist view that dreams blur the boundary between waking and dreaming, reality and illusion. Dreams in Chinese tradition often carried moral lessons or reflected the harmony or disharmony of the self with the cosmos. In Islamic tradition, dreams are divided into three types: true dreams, false dreams, and meaningless ones. True dreams are considered a gift from Allah, offering guidance or warnings. Stories of the Prophet Muhammad describe dreams as one of the 46 parts of prophecy, elevating them to sacred importance. Many Muslims continue to see dreams as valuable spiritual experiences, sometimes even shaping personal or communal decisions. What ties these traditions together is the conviction that dreams matter. They are not dismissed as meaningless, but taken seriously as signs, lessons, or even maps of destiny. Even today, many people across the world blend scientific explanations with spiritual interpretations, seeing dreams as carrying both biological and symbolic truth. Comparing these views with modern science is fascinating. Where ancient traditions saw gods, ancestors, or spirits, neuroscience sees neurons, chemicals, and circuits, and yet the sense of mystery remains. Whether framed as divine messages or brain processes, dreams still provoke the same awe. How can the mind create entire worlds while the body lies still? Perhaps the persistence of dream traditions shows that dreams fulfill a human need. They provide narrative, comfort, or meaning in the face of uncertainty. Whether explained by biology or by belief, they speak to the same questions. Who are we? Why are we here? What lies beyond the waking world? From here, we move to another lens: mythology and religion. If cultural traditions treat dreams as practical guides, myths and faiths often elevate them further, turning them into cosmic dramas that link humans to gods, destinies, and the shape of the universe itself. If culture gives us practical interpretations of dreams, mythology and religion take them even further, embedding dreams into the fabric of creation, prophecy, and destiny. In mythic traditions across the world, dreams are not fleeting illusions but doorways to divine truth. In the Bible, dreams often carry the weight of prophecy. Joseph, the son of Jacob, dreamed of sheaves of wheat bowing to him. A vision later, fulfilled when he rose to power in Egypt. Pharaoh himself dreamed of 7 fat cows devoured by 7 thin ones, a warning of famine that Joseph interpreted. In the New Testament, Joseph the carpenter was guided by dreams to protect Mary and Jesus, turning dreams into lifelines of salvation. These stories frame dreams as messengers of God, channels of wisdom and warning. In Greek mythology, the god Morpheus ruled over dreams, able to shape them and deliver messages from the gods to mortals. The Greeks also imagined a place called the Gates of Sleep, with 2 portals, one of horn, through which true dreams passed, and one of ivory, from which deceptive dreams emerged. In this imagery, dreams were not just personal experiences, but cosmic events governed by divine beings. Hindu tradition places dreams at the heart of existence itself. The god Vishnu is sometimes depicted as dreaming the universe into being, his visions unfolding as cosmic reality. The Upanishads describe 3 states of consciousness: waking, dreaming, and deep sleep, each revealing different truths. Dreams, in this view, are not mere illusions, but glimpses into deeper layers of the soul, hints of a reality that transcends waking life. In Buddhism, dreams often serve as lessons on impermanence and illusion. The fleeting, unreal quality of dreams mirrors the transience of worldly experience. Great teachers are said to have had significant dreams before moments of enlightenment, suggesting that the dreaming mind can prepare the way for awakening. Yet, at the same time, the dream is used as a metaphor to remind practitioners that all of life may be as fleeting and insubstantial as the visions of sleep. Islamic tradition also treats dreams with reverence. As mentioned before, the Prophet Muhammad described true dreams as one part of prophecy. Stories tell of companions who shared their dreams with the Prophet, seeking interpretation and guidance. In Sufi mysticism, dreams are seen as paths to divine intimacy, moments when the veils of the waking world are lifted. Dreams here are not random, but sacred, part of the ongoing dialogue between human beings and the divine. Mythologies from other parts of the world also place heavy emphasis on dream visions. In Norse tales, dreams could foretell battles and deaths, guiding kings and warriors. The sagas speak of dream interpreters who could read these visions like maps of fate. In Mesoamerican cultures, such as the Maya, dreams were tied to the movements of the cosmos. Shamans used them as tools of divination, bridging the human and the celestial. One striking pattern across these stories is the idea of dreams as warnings. Whether it is Pharaoh's dream of famine, a Viking chieftain's dream of death, or a Hindu vision of cycles of rebirth, dreams often appear at turning points. They are moments when the veil between ordinary life and destiny grows thin, when the dreamer is called to listen carefully. Modern psychology may not speak of gods or prophecy, but the symbolic power of dreams remains. Even if stripped of myth, dreams carry meaning, shaping choices and sparking insights. In this sense, myths and religions captured something timeless, the idea that dreams matter, that they are not accidents but part of the larger story of existence. Perhaps what mythology and religion reveal most clearly is the way dreams collapse boundaries. They unite the mortal and the divine, the present and the future, the personal and the cosmic. To dream is to be caught in that in-between state, half human, half transcendent, suspended between worlds. From here, we turn to a more practical, but equally fascinating question: how dreams fuel creativity and innovation. For if gods once spoke through dreams, perhaps today it is our own imagination, stirred in sleep, that continues their work. Dreams are not only about fear or prophecy, they are also fertile ground for creativity. Throughout history, some of humanity's greatest breakthroughs in art, science, and invention have been linked to moments of inspiration that arrived during sleep. It seems that when the mind drifts into dreams, it stirs connections that waking logic alone could never produce. One of the most famous examples is the chemist Auguste Kekule. In the 19th century, he struggled to understand the structure of benzene, a problem that resisted all his attempts. Then, as the story goes, he dreamed of a snake biting its own tail, a symbol known as the Ouroboros. When he awoke, the image inspired him to imagine a ring-shaped structure for benzene, a breakthrough that transformed chemistry. Artists, too, have drawn deeply from dreams. Salvador Dali famously cultivated dreamlike imagery, blending surreal visions with meticulous technique. He even used a method he called slumber with a key, where he would nap while holding a key in his hand. As he drifted off, the key would fall, waking him just as his mind entered the dreamlike state. Inside those fleeting moments, Dali captured images that would later fill his canvases. Writers also find inspiration in dreams. Mary Shelley's Frankenstein was born from a nightmare she described as a pale student of unhallowed arts kneeling beside the thing he had put together. That haunting dream became the seed of one of the most enduring works of literature. Similarly, Samuel Taylor Coleridge claimed his poem Kubla Khan came to him in a dream, a vision so vivid he simply wrote it down upon waking. In science, beyond Kekule, there are other striking cases. Dmitri Mendeleev, the creator of the periodic table, reportedly dreamed of the elements arranging themselves into a coherent system. Upon waking, he quickly recorded what he saw, giving the world one of the most important tools in chemistry. Even Einstein is said to have drawn inspiration from a dream in which he rode alongside a beam of light, an image that later informed his theories of relativity. Why are dreams such powerful sources of creativity? One reason is that the dreaming brain is free from the strict rules of logic that govern waking thought. Connections are looser, boundaries more fluid. The brain mixes ideas, memories, and images in ways that waking reason might immediately dismiss. In that looseness, new patterns emerge, patterns that can become solutions, stories, or works of art. Another factor is emotional intensity. Dreams often highlight feelings, whether fear, joy, or awe. These heightened emotions make dream imagery stick, giving it a force that ordinary thoughts may lack. When translated into waking creativity, that emotional weight can become inspiration. But ordinary dreamers too, creativity blooms in small ways. A recurring dream might spark a painting, a melody, or a new idea at work. Even when not world-changing, these flashes of inspiration remind us that creativity is not confined to daylight
hours.
The mind works on our behalf, even when we rest. There is also evidence that dreaming helps with problem solving. Experiments show that people asked to think about a puzzle before sleep are more likely to solve it after dreaming. The brain continues to process information during sleep, reworking problems in the background, sometimes returning with solutions. Dreams may be the conscious echo of this hidden labor. Of course, not every dream is a masterpiece. Most fade without a trace, leaving only fragments behind. But when a dream lingers, when it delivers a striking image or a startling idea, it has the power to change everything. That is the gift of dreaming. It does not just replay what we know, but expands what we can imagine. So, when you next wake from a dream that feels strange or inspiring, consider writing it down. It may seem odd at first, but in its fragments may lie the seed of a story, a painting, or even a discovery. History suggests that paying attention to such moments can bear extraordinary fruit. From creativity, we turn to another surprising question. Are humans the only ones who dream? Or do other creatures, our pets, wild animals, perhaps even tiny insects, share in the strange nightly theatre of the mind? If you've ever watched a dog twitch in its sleep, paws paddling as if running, or a cat's whiskers flicker while it makes faint sounds, you may have wondered, are they dreaming? The evidence suggests yes. Animals, like humans, enter stages of sleep where vivid mental activity takes place. Studies of brain activity show that many mammals experience REM sleep, the phase most strongly linked with dreams. In this stage, their brains produce the same rapid electrical patterns seen in humans. Rats, for example, display brain activity while sleeping that mirrors their activity during the day. When a rat runs a maze, certain neurons fire in a distinct sequence. During REM sleep, the same sequence replays, as if the rat is running the maze again in its dreams. Dogs likely dream of daily experiences too. A pet who spent the day chasing a ball may chase it again in sleep, paws twitching with phantom energy. Cats, studied extensively by neuroscientists, seem to dream about hunting. When deprived of the brain mechanism that normally paralyzes the body during REM, sleeping cats actually leap, stalk, and pounce as though hunting invisible prey in their dreams. Birds also show signs of dreaming. Zebra finches replay their song during sleep, with the same neural patterns firing as when they practice awake. This suggests that dreaming may help them refine their songs, just as humans use dreams for memory processing. Even more surprising, some evidence points to dreaming in reptiles and even cuttlefish. Cuttlefish, in particular, show shifts in skin color patterns while resting, similar to their camouflage displays when awake. It raises the possibility that even these alien creatures rehearse experiences in sleep. Why do animals dream? One theory mirrors human explanations, memory consolidation. Dreams may help store and refine daily experiences, teaching the brain what to remember and what to forget. For animals, this might mean rehearsing hunting, navigation, or social interactions. Dreaming could be a survival tool, shaping behavior without the risks of real-world trial and error. The question of whether animals dream also touches on consciousness. If dreams are windows into the mind, then animal dreams suggest that consciousness, or at least imagination, extends beyond humans. And watching a dog whimper or a cat twitch in sleep hints at an inner life not so different from our own. Of course, we cannot ask animals what they dream about. We can only infer from brain activity and behavior. Still, the similarities are compelling. The sleeping rat running its maze, the bird rehearsing its song, the dog chasing an unseen ball. all point to dreams as a widespread feature of life on Earth. For pet owners, this adds a layer of wonder. The dog at your feet is not only a companion in waking life, but a dreamer, carrying its own private stories through the night. Those small twitches and soft sounds are not random, but the echoes of its own inner world. If animals dream, then dreaming may be an ancient trait, one that evolved hundreds of millions of years ago. It may not be unique to humans, but part of the shared heritage of all creatures with complex brains. This view transforms dreams from curiosities into something more fundamental, an expression of life itself as universal as heartbeat or breath. And yet there remains a difference. Humans remember, analyze, and build meaning from dreams. We turn them into stories, theories, and myths. Animals, as far as we know, do not. Their dreams may be vivid, but they remain private, unshared, unexamined. In that sense, dreaming is both a link and a boundary, connecting us to other species while reminding us of the unique ways we turn dreams into culture. From the silent worlds of sleeping animals, we move back to the human realm. Here, dreams are not just nightly stories, but reflections of health. They can reveal the hidden effects of anxiety, trauma, or depression. The mind, even when resting, carries its struggles into the night. Dreams are not separate from our waking lives. They reflect what we feel, fear, and struggle with, often more vividly than we realize while awake. When mental health is challenged, dreams respond, weaving anxiety, trauma, or sadness into the fabric of sleep. Take anxiety, for example. People with high levels of stress often report restless dreams. These dreams may involve being unprepared, late, or overwhelmed, like showing up to an exam without studying or losing track of something important. Such dreams reflect the constant tension of waking life, the mind rehearsing scenarios of failure or chaos. In this sense, dreams can act as mirrors of mental state, translating invisible feelings into images that cannot be ignored. Depression, too, leaves its mark. People with depression often dream more intensely, with longer periods of REM sleep. Their dreams may carry themes of loss, emptiness, or helplessness. Sometimes the dreams are flat and colorless. Other times they are overwhelmingly sad. These nighttime experiences can reinforce the mood of waking hours, creating a cycle where even rest feels heavy. Scientists debate whether these dreams are symptoms of the illness or part of the brain's attempt to cope. Either way, they show how deeply sleep and mood are connected. Perhaps the most dramatic link between mental health and dreams is found in PTSD. For those who have endured trauma, nightmares can become relentless. The brain replays the event again and again, as if stuck on a loop. Unlike ordinary dreams, these nightmares are not symbolic, but direct, the trauma relived in full detail. They can leave the dreamer waking in panic, drenched in sweat, afraid to return to sleep. Over time, the fear of nightmares can itself become a source of suffering, leading to insomnia and further stress. Why does trauma replay in dreams? One theory is that the brain is attempting to process and master the event. By replaying it, the mind may be trying to reduce its emotional weight. But when the trauma is overwhelming, the replay becomes harmful, reinforcing fear instead of relieving it. This is why therapy often focuses on breaking the cycle, helping the dreamer gain some measure of control. Treatments exist that specifically address nightmares and sleep disturbance in mental health. Imagery rehearsal therapy, for instance, teaches patients to rewrite their nightmares. By imagining new outcomes while awake, replacing terror with safety, the brain can learn to shift the dream itself. Medications may also help regulate REM sleep, reducing nightmare frequency. These approaches highlight that dreams are not beyond our reach. They can be reshaped with care and practice. At the same time, dreams can also serve as signals, early warnings of mental strain. A sudden increase in nightmares or a shift toward darker dream content may indicate rising stress or depression. Paying attention to these patterns can help people recognize when support is needed, even before symptoms appear fully in waking life. But there is also a hopeful side. Dreams can provide moments of healing. Some trauma survivors report that, after therapy, their dreams begin to change. The nightmare may soften, or new images may appear. A friend arriving to help, a weapon disappearing, a safe place opening up. These shifts can mark real progress, showing that the mind is beginning to integrate the trauma rather than remain trapped in it. For all their intensity, mental health-related dreams remind us of the unity of mind and body. Sleep is not an escape from our struggles, but a continuation of them, shaped by the same forces that guide our waking emotions. This connection can feel painful, but it also means that as healing happens by day, it can echo into the night. So the next time a troubling dream lingers, it may be worth asking, what part of my waking life does this reflect? In that question lies the chance not only for understanding but also for recovery. From here, we turn to our final section. After exploring the mysteries, science, and struggles of dreams, we close with reflection on why dreams matter, what they reveal, and how they connect us all, whether waking or asleep. As our long journey through the world of dreams comes to an end, it's worth pausing to ask, why do they matter? After all, dreams are fragile things. They vanish like mist at dawn, leaving behind only fragments. And yet, in those fragments, something important lingers. A trace of who we are, what we fear, and what we long for. Dreams remind us that the mind is vast, larger than what we grasp when awake. In them, we cross impossible landscapes, meet people we've lost, fly through skies we've never seen. They show us that imagination is not bound by logic, that the unconscious has its own language, rich and strange. Even when confusing, dreams affirm that our inner world is alive with possibility. They also remind us of our shared humanity. Nightmares of falling, of being chased, of losing control. These appear in every culture, in every age. So do dreams, of flight, of reunion, of love. To dream is to be human, and in that nightly theatre we find patterns that connect us across time and place. Science tells us that dreams help consolidate memory, regulate emotion, and spark creativity. History tells us that dreams have inspired prophets, poets, and scientists alike. Spiritual traditions tell us they are doorways to the divine. Each explanation may be partial, but together they point to the same truth. Dreams are not trivial. They are woven into the very fabric of being. For each of us, dreams carry something personal. Perhaps it is a recurring image that won't go away, or a nightmare that forces us to confront fear, or a luminous dream that leaves us with peace. These are not just random signals in the brain. They are stories, and in those stories, we glimpse ourselves. It is easy to dismiss dreams as meaningless, but that dismissal itself may reveal something. How uncomfortable we are with mystery. Dreams resist control. They slip away when we try to hold them too tightly, and yet they return each night, uninvited but insistent. They ask us to listen, to wonder, to be humble before what we cannot fully explain. Perhaps that is why dreams feel so important. They are one of the few places where science, spirituality, and art overlap. Neuroscientists, shamans, and poets all look at the same thing, the visions of the sleeping mind, and find meaning there. Few other human experiences bridge those worlds so effortlessly. And maybe that is the final gift of dreams. They remind us of connection. Connection between waking and sleeping, between past and present, between the personal and the universal. They link us to ancestors who also dreamed under ancient skies and to future generations who will dream after we are gone. Tonight, as you drift into sleep, your dreams will join this unbroken chain. They may be fleeting or vivid, joyful or frightening. But whatever they are, they belong to you. And at the same time, they belong to something greater, the endless story of the dreaming mind. So let your body rest, your breath slow, your mind grow light. Let the questions drift like leaves on water. You don't need to chase meaning. It will come when it's ready. For now, it's enough to know that you are part of a vast and ancient tradition, the human act of dreaming. Sleep well, and may your dreams, whatever shape they take, remind you that you are never alone.